From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen, and this is For the People. For this Thursday, March the 23rd, 2017, we have been coined the fastest 1 hour of radio, and some have to do 3-4 hours. Us, 1 hour, and you get just about everything that is newsworthy out in your world. And we'd like to hear about your world, so if there is a story that you think that we should bring some attention to, and it might be in your backyard, please email us off forthepeopleshow.com. We'd be more than happy to look into your story, and especially if there's an injustice. We have covered a very important story that thankfully the press up in Neenah, Wisconsin, picked up a story on the Michael Funk case, in a case that we're still following, and it had to do with the police shooting the wrong person during a hostage situation. A very sad story, but, you know, police corruption at its highest, and luckily it's not all police cities around the country. A lot of them are just decent, but there is corruption out there, and we'd like to expose it. If there's an injustice of any kind, let us know about it, and we'll look into the story. A lot of people don't like to come forward with stuff, but some people like the press. And we had plenty of press. We had like 4 or 5 of the TV stations cover the story for Michael Funk, and 4 of the people did a series of broadcasts up there that really helped and actually changed the law up there. And I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but the way that they do things now, we'll be covering that story, getting with Kay Reitz up there in Neenah in a little bit, and with the Funk family, and figure out our next move to give you more of that story. So if you're a longtime listener to For the People, you have heard the story, but there is some new breaking news on that. And so in a show coming up soon, we'll bring that information. Yesterday, we talked about the rape story that involved an illegal immigrant, and actually 2 are going to the school, but the rape case. But very interesting how the network censored the rape story involving this rape, and as a matter of fact, 3 went silent. 3 of the major networks, and who were they? ABC, CBS, and NBC. I'm not even kidding, because of the PC climate. They decided that a 14-year-old girl that got raped was not newsworthy. How horrifying for this girl, and this teenage girl in Maryland, in a high school bathroom, allegedly by, yes, 2 men, including one who police say is in the U.S. illegally. But they won't cover it because of that. And they won't cover it for the same reason that a lot of the left will not. Because they don't think there's anything wrong with folks being undocumented and having no documentation whatsoever, but yet getting all the benefits and all the help from the government, from Uncle Sam. And who does pay that bill? Who paid that bill for those to go to school there in Rockville, Maryland? It was you and I, folks. It was Mr. and Mrs. America. And this is what we have to put up with. Well, you know what? Enough's enough. Like I said, that's why Donald Trump is in the position that he's in, because we've had enough. We're tired of it. And I hope that this doesn't go forgotten, because if it's forgotten, nothing's going to be done about it. But the mainstream media doesn't want to give credence to this. They don't want to give any attention to this, because what it does, it gives legitimacy to the Trump administration for everything that he stands for and everything that he ran on They would say, oh, well, Donald Trump was right. And God, for any liberal to say Donald Trump was right, Donald Trump was right, Donald Trump was right, they're going to implode. Their head's going to come undone. They're going to go absolutely haywire, short circuit, like Hillary Clinton, short circuits. But it's the pathetic liberal media that shows no interest in this Rockville High School case, and then compiled with Rolling Stone in giving more than 10 minutes of coverage in 2 days to the fake 2014 claim that a University of Virginia fraternity gang raped a female student, before breaking down how blind the media were in furthering a narrative about college fraternities and sexual assaults, in which can be a noble cause. The pro-illegal immigrant media were surely displeased with the Fox News Channel's special report, as it again offered a story on the events in Montgomery County, Maryland. Yeah, anything that would paint illegals in a bad light. No. We will not. We cannot. No, we can't do that. No, absolutely not. Because then we would, these paid voters, we would not have them. Oh, and yes, folks, I say that, paid voters. The undocumented ones that go to the polls and vote. The same ones who get privileges to go to school, to eat school meals, to go to school with minors and have sex with them in the bathroom. The same ones. Folks, I'm irritated. I'm mad. And every American should be very pissed off about it. It always perplexes me. Young Kate Steinle, who was killed in California. Another horrific story of illegal immigration. Okay? So many senators will turn their back on it and will not institute it as being the law. That if you get arrested, you get deported. And that's it. You're not allowed back in. But no, you know how many states won't embrace it? Over half. And it's sad and it's tragic because of the thinking that no, you shouldn't deport. Oh, no, that's okay. Break our laws. Don't follow our laws. There's no need, no merit. Not to mention the deaths and the rapes, the killings, the thievery that's going on. Enough is enough. And what is it going to take? More of this? How many more? How many more? You tell me, folks. How many more? Stacked up American bodies, American lives ruined. I mentioned this young girl's mind being scarred with the images and the experiences, but her heart will never be the same. Oh, I've had conversations with women that have been raped through the years and have shared, and it still hurts them. No matter how many years go by, it affects them in a very deep way, because that's a violation of, it just is not a good thing. And men have been raped too. Unfortunately, it seems to be more prevailing for women in this country. And where are the feminist groups? We wanted to report the rape, wanted to talk about the rape. They say, women that get raped should report it, should stand up. Well, this one is reported, and now there's no praise and there's no rallying around the family. There's nobody to be there for her, to help her family in time of need. No. You get three of the big networks turning their back on this tragic, horrific story because they are afraid of what illegal immigrants are going to think of them. Well, you know what? That's why our program is listener supported. We don't care about the PC police. We don't care. Oh, we care, but we don't care about the PC police, because we're going to bringing out facts. We're going to talk about these things with emotion, with passion, a meaningful conversation. And a lot of times devoid on media. Because all they're looking for is ratings. Well, we see an experience called the human experience. It's something that we are. And if you do not put a face of humanity on these cases, on these people, then you're not going to, the story will not mean anything to you. And not a thing. And it's not a surprise that one of the networks, one of the three that blacked it out, NBC News, Tom Brokaw's still involved, following the London terror attacks that claimed at least 4 lives, injured over 30 people yesterday. NBC News, Ken Diliman, he posted what he considered to be a gentle reminder for his Twitter followers. He says, I know it's a big story, but every time we freak out about a small bore terror attack, we play into their hands, he wrote. Now, as you might imagine, Dilian, the intelligence and national security reporter for NBC investigative unit, experienced some immediate pushback over his choice of words yesterday. And still today. But that's the insensitivity of these networks. Oh, it's just a bore. It doesn't matter. Forget about it. Who cares? It was only 30 people injured. Only 4 people dead. It's just a bore. Don't freak out about it. It's not a big deal. Well, Theresa May, this is the language that she's using and still kind of part of the PC police. What do you think? See what she says.
Not in the words of politicians, but in the everyday actions of ordinary people. For beyond these walls today, in scenes repeated in towns and cities across the country, millions of people are going about their days and getting on with their lives. It is in these actions, millions of acts of normality, that we find the best response to terrorism.
First of all, thank you, Teresa. I'm glad nothing happened to you. And by the way, interesting enough, the officer that actually was killed, he was told not to have a gun. Luckily, some in Parliament actually were able to have guns. That's why they were able to take down the assailant. 52-year-old Khalid Masood, 52 years old. Wasn't your status quo jihadist, but he was a terrorist, and ISIS has taken responsibility for it. And lo and behold, unfortunately, I was correct about that early on in the assessment of just the way it looked. Shame. And by the way, a Utah man lost his life in this horrific tragedy last night. There's nothing normal about it. By the way, people were afraid and are afraid. We're afraid because we're not calling it for what it is. It is radical Islamic terrorism. That's what it is. It's nothing short of it. It's what it is. Islamic radical terrorism. And it has a foothold in our society, and it is a plague. And folks, these things are going to happen more and more in increase until we call it and we attack it for what it is. And then until the imams that say they're peaceful and they want to live in peace and they love to assimilate here in American culture, we're not going to have peace because they're not turning in these people that have telltale signs. And believe me, we'll find out the network of this guy. They didn't want to mention him. They knew who he was pretty immediately, within hours after the attack of who Khalid was. But they wanted to track down his network so they can get all the information they possibly can to find out if there was anybody else that was involved. And chances are people probably knew that this guy started acting funny. A lot of them do because they start growing their beards out. They start acting just wacky. And, they're going to search the computers, what people knew, where he went. Did he start praying more? I mean, his behavior, usually for somebody to do that, usually behavior does change. He was radicalized,